The recent news about Tom Homan returning to a role in Donald Trump's administration as the so-called border czar has sparked intense reactions from various perspectives. Homan, the former acting director of Immigration and Customs Enforcement, ICE, is no stranger to controversy. He's well known for his tough stances on immigration and, more controversially, for his support of Trump's zero-tolerance policy, which led to family separations at the U.S.-Mexico border. So, what does Homan's new role mean for America's immigration landscape, and why should we care? Let's start with Homan's background. This isn't his first time overseeing border enforcement. He served under the Trump administration as ICE's acting director from 2017 to 2018. His hardline approach to immigration enforcement was evident then, and it seems he's eager to take it even further if given the opportunity. During his previous tenure, Homan repeatedly praised Trump for allowing ICE agents broader powers in enforcing immigration laws. But can we really say that tougher immigration policies benefit the nation as a whole, or do they create more humanitarian crises than they solve? Critics argue that Homan's approach to immigration enforcement is unnecessarily harsh. One of his most controversial actions was his role in implementing family separations at the border, where over 5,500 children were separated from their parents under the Trump administration's policy. Though Trump later signed an executive order ending the practice, the damage was done, with many families still struggling to reunite even years later. As Homan returns, it's worth asking, will we see a return to these types of policies, and what is the human cost? Homan's rhetoric also raises red flags. He has publicly stated that immigrants should start packing in anticipation of mass deportations. On top of that, he's warned that he intends to lead one of the largest deportation operations in American history. Some might see this as a strong message of enforcement, but others view it as a fear-inducing threat aimed at vulnerable communities. Can we consider this approach humane, as Homan claims, when it seems to rely heavily on aggressive tactics? If you're following along and finding this perspective interesting, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe for more. Now, let's dive deeper. The potential implications of Homan's stance are not limited to undocumented immigrants alone. His mention of resuming workplace raids is particularly troubling to immigrant rights groups. They argue that workplace raids often end up punishing workers rather than employers who exploit undocumented labor. With Homan's intent to target both individuals and workplaces, we could be looking at more instances where families are torn apart due to a single workplace raid. Can this strategy really address the root issues, or is it merely a band-aid solution to a much larger immigration challenge? Moreover, it's essential to consider the broader economic impacts. Studies by institutions like the Brookings Institution and the American Enterprise Institute suggest that low or negative migration could hurt the U.S. economy, as immigrants often fill critical labor shortages, contribute to economic growth, and pay taxes. Is Homan's focus on removing large numbers of immigrants ultimately short-sighted? Before we wrap up, don't forget to like this video if you're enjoying the discussion and subscribe to stay updated on our latest content. Lastly, we need to ask, what kind of America are we moving toward with figures like Homan at the helm? Critics argue that the kind of rhetoric and policies Homan advocates don't just affect immigrants, they reshape America's identity as a nation of immigrants. If policies lead to more families being separated, fear in immigrant communities, and economic challenges, what is the real cost? In the end, the return of Tom Homan to a position of influence in border enforcement will likely lead to debates over the ethical and practical aspects of immigration policy. If you have thoughts on this, please leave a comment below. And, of course, don't forget to like and subscribe for more insightful content.